I picked the Marine Corps because I had a Marine who I went to college with, and I asked him why he chose the Marine Corps, and he answered very nonchalant, "Well, because it's the best. I wanted what's best. If you want one of the other ones, you should do that. But I just thought you should go to the best, the hardest, and that was all my research."
That was it.
Join and figure my branch. Well, it was funny because when I joined, so I'm from like a non-military family. So I'd never fired a gun before. I wasn't in the world. We didn't know, we didn't know people that were in the service. And so it was a real hardship on my family when I told them I was joining the Marines. So I considered the Navy then just as a kind of compromise to them because they all thought I was going to die in the Marine Corps. But I ended up having a conversation with my dad and deciding, all right, Marine Corps is the way to go. That's where I went. And so, my whole thing for veterans, I hire a ton of vets. My first company, I had 80 plus vets working for me. I had, 350 people total, and 80 of them were vets. So I hire a lot of vets. I've been I think that I've cracked the code on how to get out of the military because I had such a hard time getting out of the military and wasn't able to get a job, just couldn't crack the code. And finally, figured out, all right, I can go back to school, went to Harvard. Once I had that, got elevated through that to a whole new network. There's just an inherent trust in there. And I've been able to do some great things since. Like I tell my kids all the time that I'm like, I had to start companies because nobody else would hire me. But it really was. And so many are kind of afraid of the entrepreneurial route, more so than they should be. Because it is, as you see, like AI making it that you can create an app now. You can create whatever just through, Claude or coding it through these different things. You don't need those specialized skills. For many years, for like 2 decades, the geeks at home in their pajamas were the only ones that knew how to do this. But now those skills are kind of available to everybody. So it's great to see people doing that.
It's another avenue for marketing and everything else. AI, they think it's going to take over certain things, but it's going to make your life so much easier and faster that you can do so many more things. I'm running like 4 different companies right now because of AI allows me to do that.
So for me, the reason I couldn't get a job, I was applying all over the place, was because I was going after all the wrong fit. I was going after individual, project manager roles and things because I thought that just sounds like a do anything. I can pick up and do those. But really, you need to get pulled into these things. But that's the thing. You can, there's much more access to it, and people have more opportunities than they ever think. But we say no to stuff all the time because it's not part of the plan. But it's amazing where it goes if you start saying yes.
People want overnight successes, but everybody I interview who's successful, all the way from, the UGG founder, whatever, they have had 15 years of overnight success. Right. And so he ended up going back and that you just don't, it's not as easy as people think it is.
If you're going to start a company, I mean, it is a lot of hours, and they're not that pleasurable hours. There are so many times that I'm laying on the floor of my office whining about whatever and going, what the fuck am I going to do here? What the fuck am I? Because you've just got to sit there. You've got a problem that's so hard, that looks so nasty. It's existential, but we solve all of them.
And I tell somebody, and don't talk to me until the one time you have no idea how you're going to make payroll.
Yeah.
Because you can do everything perfect all the way through, and then all of a sudden something happens. Or, I had, cause I've been doing this for a while, and I had a processor lose me like 20 grand and on a couple of deals. And I'm like, did you learn from that? Yeah. I go, you'll never do that again. Cause she wanted to be fired. That was the education that I can teach you. You'll never make that mistake again on any of those, will you? No. I go, then that's worth that money. And she didn't understand that. And some people, and when I used to interview, not used to, but still ask people to tell me like their, biggest issue or failure on my other podcast. One guy was like, oh, I lost 20 grand on a flip. I'm like, that's it? That was your biggest failure? And I had to stop myself because I'm thinking, because for some people, that is a huge thing. For other people, depending on how you're dealing with certain things, it's not a big thing.
I tell this to my kids all the time is I'm like, people will look back at this time in my life. We've had my current company, my co-founder and I started it 20 months ago.